All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is Gavaskar Reid from the New York City Department of Education, Career and Technical Education Office. Today, we are featuring Willdan Clean Energy Academy with Dwayne Norris and Antoine Cannon. Now, throughout the school year, we get lots of questions about alternatives to college. What are some of the other career assistance programs out there? What are some of the other free training programs out there? So it's my absolute privilege today to be able to have this info session. And I see that we have all the boroughs represented. I see that we have Harbor School and Bayside, Alfred Smith, Mather, Boys and Girls High School, maybe missing a couple. But really glad to have you all today. I know that you just had a full day of work. So we're gonna try not to take up too much of your time. We have these info sessions because we want to make sure that your young people are aware of all the different opportunities that are at their disposal. And this is something where, regardless of what the CTE program is of your student, it makes no difference whatsoever. As long as they are interested in getting their feet into the green economy, into the sustainability sectors, regardless of what they're currently studying, this is the program for them. And I see City Poly there as well. They were the first one to come on. Welcome. Dwayne Norris, he's no stranger to us. He's actually been featured in some of our Construction and Sustainability Commission meetings in the past. Because of him and his team, he's helped to get some of our CTE programs endorsed and approved by the state as well. So he's no stranger to us. He's a part of the CTE family. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Dwayne Norris. And I'm going to also ask if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to unmute. Feel free to use the chat box. We'll be happy to take your questions. Okay, take it away, Dwayne. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you, Gav. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dwayne Norris, as Gavaskar said, and very happy to be with you all again. My name, Dwayne Norris, co-founder of a company called Soulful Synergy, which is partnered with this amazing group of people. As we kind of go through this program, you'll hear more about the collaborative approach that we're taking to this training. And it's really with the goal of how do we give more people opportunity in this ever expanding clean energy space. So I have two of my colleagues here that I want to introduce, and then Antoine is going to take it away for us in this first part, and then come back to me in the second part. So Soulful Synergy is a workforce development training program and training provider. We provide all different types of skills training in the construction industry, clean energy industry. We have some tech training that we're rolling out, urban farming. And the goal is really to provide people with access to industries where there's growth and opportunities, and ideally low barriers to entry. That's what makes me so excited about this program, is that checks all the boxes. So as we go through this, you'll hear again, you don't need to have the 4-year degree. You don't need to have all the technical background and expertise. There are pathways in this space where students can find success and really find ways to advance and elevate. And so really makes me excited to be a part of this program. So Teresa, if you don't mind sharing just a couple of quick hellos, as our newest outreach coordinator, a program graduate of ours from last year, and a newly awarded NYCDOE Climate Justice Fellow, which we'll also probably talk about a little bit later. But Teresa's a whole sustainability powerhouse in of herself. So Teresa, if you don't mind.
Hi everyone, my name is Teresa. Nice to meet everyone. As Dwayne mentioned, I am a past student of this program. I graduated from the Clean Heat Systems last year. And I currently work with Dwayne on the recruitment team. Also was fortunate to get the Climate Justice Fellowships. I'm also working on that, and nice to meet you all.
Thank you. And our fearless leader, program manager, and really like the catalyst, the impetus, the visionary for a lot of the work that we're doing, Antoine Cannon. So please, Antoine, go ahead and take it away. And if you want, I can drive, or if you want to drive, you can drive.
Well, I'm out of the country, so my internet's always a little spotty. So you should have it on deck just in case I cut out, right? Yeah. And I'm going to stay on camera as long as I can, right? As long as internet and bandwidth allows. But if at any point it gets a little bit untenable, I may discontinue that. Oh, and host has disabled participant screen sharing. I was about to share my screen. Who can help us with that? All right, so while they enable participant sharing, I'll introduce myself and I'll introduce what we're here to talk about. And it's interesting, I don't know if folks that were on here earlier caught it, but I actually used to work in this ecosystem with many of your schools prior to joining Willdan, the firm that I'm at now. Prior to joining Willdan, I actually used to run a company, a social enterprise called Envirolution, that did a lot of vocational training for individuals looking to get into the green, sustainability, clean energy industries. And in that work, I was fortunate enough to connect with a former colleague of the group here, Ishmael Ocasio, and I actually worked on some of the initial CTE, we used to call it sustainabilizing of your curricula, right? So we convened a number of stakeholder committees and working groups, and which also included individuals, as teachers and different types of stakeholders from the school. And the idea was to help you all find sort of strategic places to integrate sustainability content into your existing curricula, right? Whether it was the electrical programs, automotive programs, engineering programs, and so forth. We were looking at what kind of industry credentials there were, right? And how that tied in with the trainings that you were already providing, and then trying to connect the dots and do curriculum mapping and professional developments and so forth. So I was sad to have to discontinue that work in 2016. And as I was just reminiscing with the group, the reason that is because a company named Willdan, that I'll be introducing here in a second, made me an offer I couldn't refuse, as they say. And so they pulled me in, and now I am the director of talent development and innovation for this company. And we are we're the leads, I guess, the primes on the Clean Energy Academy that we'll be describing today. So I see that screen sharing has been enabled, so I'll dive in. So again, for everybody, my name is Antoine Cannon, Director of Talent Development and Innovation for Willdan Energy Solutions, right? And Willdan Energy Solutions is a national publicly traded energy and civil engineering firm. So we're at this point over 1,600 individuals working on all aspects of engineering, right? Whether that's designing and building new construction, whether that's doing civil engineering work, for municipalities, or a lot of what we do is actually related to energy efficiency program management. So many of you may be aware, right? In New York, Con Edison and our government agency, our Clean Energy Government Agency, NYCDOE, offer a number of rebate programs, incentive programs intended to help customers upgrade their energy equipment by offering them discounts, right? Subsidies, upwards of 50, 60, 70, and some places even 100% off in order to encourage individuals to upgrade to energy efficiency equipment. We are privileged to work with 14 of the largest 17 utilities nationally, and everywhere you see a dot here is a program that Willdan manages. Locally in New York, to give you a sense, right, we manage 3 out of the largest programs for Con Edison, including the energy efficiency program that they stood up for small and medium businesses, the SMB program, and the multifamily program, which is for apartment buildings with 5 or more units. I personally work primarily on the small and medium business program, which is why I included a couple additional details about that program. But to give you a sense, that program takes on about 4,000 projects a year. And over the the years that we've been running it, we've been able to implement over 40,000 projects. That means 40,000 businesses that we've been able to help upgrade their lights, upgrade their HVAC, upgrade their heating systems, and so forth, right? A lot of great impacts that have come from that. Energy that's been taken off of the grid, greenhouse gas emissions have been taken out of our atmosphere, and economic development and incentive dollars that have been given to these small and medium businesses. Because when I talk to audiences, they're often not familiar with these programs, I included a couple slides here just to kind of give a little bit further reference or context. But as I noted, Con Edison offers these programs, this one in particular, again, for small and medium business. And the way that the rebates work is based on the amount of energy savings, we're able to offer them a certain dollar amount. So we're able to give 45 cents, between 45 cents and 65 cents per kilowatt hour of electrical energy reduction, and $5 per therm from gas savings retrofits. What does that mean? If you upgrade your lights and if you upgrade your HVAC and you save 1,000 kilowatt hours, you would get 1,000 times 0.45 or $450 in rebate for that upgrade. Now, to give you a sense of what this actually looks like, right, here's a little bit of a matrix that shows all the different technology areas that we're currently offering rebates or support on, right? So on the left, our mainstay is lighting. We've been doing lighting since the inception of the program. And for a while there, that was really, kind of the lion's share of the savings and the types of projects that we did. But as many of you may be aware, the building codes are continuing to tighten, and the policies, right, at the city and state level are continuing to get more and more aggressive in terms of climate reduction, right, greenhouse gas reductions. And so because of that, we've been tasked with diversifying the program so that it doesn't just include lighting, but it includes all these other areas: HVAC, refrigeration, heating, gas, hot water, and so forth. And so if you see here, this is actually just a list of all the different types of technologies that we can offer people upgrades on, right? Broken into the systems and to the different types of categories of upgrades. So we can help individuals upgrade, replace their equipment, right? Replace their HVAC or their boiler or their lights. Retrofit, which means replace a component like a ballast or like a motor or a pump, right? Add controls, right? Those could be lighting sensors, right? Bi-level sensors, daylighting sensors, or thermostats, right? Demand control, ventilation, energy management systems. Or we can even incentivize things like operation and maintenance, right? Doing duct cleaning and sealing, doing coil cleaning, pipe insulation, boiler tune-ups, all of that. So it's a pretty fun job just getting out there and trying to help businesses access these incentives and these benefits that oftentimes they're not aware of, and oftentimes they don't realize how beneficial it can actually be to their facility. Now, as I mentioned, I'll just take a quick step back. As I mentioned, our program historically was primarily lighting based, right? And as we look to transition away from lighting to diversify, to add these new measures, I was interestingly the person that was tasked with doing that. And I quickly realized that there was going to be a number of challenges, right? Because lighting upgrades are very straightforward. Lighting is easy to identify, it's easy to see, it's easy to calculate the energy consumption and the energy savings from. Even the upgrades are relatively easy to do in terms of the actual installation and retrofit work, right? But as we look to get into HVAC and refrigeration and boilers, we realized that there was a much more involved undertaking. I like to use the expression that lighting is like checkers and non-lighting is like chess, right? The board looks the same. It's got the same number of boxes, right? That you would think it'd be very similar, but they're actually very different, right? And we quickly realized that we were in need of training, that we were in need of not only training our existing staff, but because the way these programs work, companies like Willdan, we don't actually do all the work. We don't do the 4,000 projects ourselves. We have a network of hundreds of subcontractors and market partners and trade allies, about 250 or so per program, that they're the ones that do the work. And so we support them. We provide, Excel calculators, project management software, referrals for projects, QA, QC, right? Inspection support. We provide a lot of the support services, but our contractors are the ones that really drive the work. So again, we realized that not only our staff at Willdan needed to be better trained, but our contractors needed training, and all of us needed a talent pipeline. All right, so folks, this is where the conversation with you all starts, right? Which is, we hope that you all will become part of our talent pipeline. All right, and so just a couple other thoughts on kind of what that came out of this need, which is that we realized that in order to diversify the measure mix, which is bring in more technologies, in order to do deeper measures, which are measures that you're not just replacing a light, but now you're doing more advanced sensors, and you're not just doing a boiler tune-up, but you're adding controls, and you're adding VFDs and all sorts of different things to really optimize the system, right? And ultimately, we wanted to get to a place where our program was comprehensive, to where we can go into a building and offer them all of the opportunities not just a single type of system. Historically, we were more kind of single system, lighting only, refrigeration only, or what have you. We wanted to get to a point where our program was comprehensive and deep, right? Those are the terms. And so to do that, we decided that what we wanted to do, right, is take an innovative approach and develop a talent pipeline and workforce development program, right, that would be specifically tailored to our needs, right? It's interesting because, as I mentioned, prior to joining Willdan, I actually ran a vocational training company. I used to do training, I used to do staffing, I used to, directly place people into a lot of the companies that I work with. And then Willdan was frankly my largest client, which is how I ended up over there, right? But now being on the inside, now working in the belly of the beast, right? I have a very different vantage point and a different, very different opportunity in being able to support programs like yourselves, like your CTE programs, or a lot of the green jobs training programs that a lot of our great partners, different workforce agencies that do this kind of training provide. And the role is that we know what the training needs are. We know what the hiring needs are. We know what the softwares are. We know what the protocols are. We know what the manuals are. So we can very poignantly, very specifically, tell a workforce agency or tell a school, these are the 10 things we need people to be trained on at this level of rigor, this level of sophistication, right? And it's a very different proposition when, the employers come to you and tell you, this is our need, right? This is the training we need folks to be equipped with, to where, we're out here kind of trying and guessing and feeling our way to, hope that the training we provide our folks, our students meets the need. So I feel very privileged to be able to be on this side. And, that said, however, Willdan is not a training organization. So we realized that in order to do this, we needed to bring in a team. We needed to bring in, education organizations, community-based organizations. Now that it's all online, technical, technology companies, right? We needed to bring in a team of companies that could help us actually implement this idea into a successful program. So we were very excited to reach out to Soulful Synergy and a couple of other partners of ours, many of whom are MWBEs, right? Minority Women Business Enterprises, and as well as some academic partners like New York Institute of Technology. And I hope to be able to say New York City Career and Technical Education very soon, right? DOE, CTE as another one of our key partners here. And the idea was that we were going to roll out really, really poignant strategic training, right? Training that we knew was exactly what people needed in order to be able to hit the ground running in companies like ours, right? And not just Willdan, though. Remember the many, many companies that work in our programs. And so we basically designed a 3-phase process. Right, phase one is one where Willdan, as the industry leads, right, as the market makers, effectively, we would inform what the curriculum needs were. Right, that was what we would call the industry alignment. Phase two would be a process of credentializing, of making sure that the training is checking the boxes that we need to be able to give people continuing education units, to be able to award individual certifications, and be able to ultimately get people college credit or other types of credit, graduate school credit as appropriate. And the final step here was to work with workforce agencies, partners that are actually out there training the masses and equip them with this curriculum so that they could perpetuate it, so they could grow the program. Because again, we're not a training organization or a school. We're just interested in seeing this training grow and the number of eligible workers also increase. So that said, what are we actually talking about, right? What are we actually offering? So what we've put together, we refer to as the Clean Energy Academy, or the Willdan Clean Energy Academy. And so this is a full service vocational training and career services program. So that includes everything from the virtual training, right, which previously wasn't virtual, right? Previously was in-person training, but this point still remains mostly virtual. We hope eventually to be able to get back to maybe a hybrid model. We also weave in hands-on real-world field training as is possible given COVID safety considerations. A lot of our courses lead to professional certifications and licensing, right? So we actually have certification test prep and facilitation. We're also ardent believers in service learning. So we have a whole service learning component where our students are able to get hands-on experience on real projects with real companies through what we call a capstone project. And we do have a full suite of career services, job placement assistance. And lastly, we are also very fortunate to be able to offer our graduates a ton of continuing education opportunities, whether that's other courses that we're offering or courses that many of our partners are offering. On the bottom here, you see some of the credentials that we're training our individuals to. So our HVAC class leads to the EPA 608, the Universal Refrigerant Handler Cert. Some of our auditing classes are tailored to get people prepared for the Certified Energy Auditor. Our thermal classes, right, focus on the DPI Multifamily Building Analyst curriculum. Our lighting class gets people to the Certified Apprentice Lighting Technician certification. And for any job, any training that we're training technicians, right, individuals who are actually going to go out there and be a part of the installation team, we also offer the OSHA and the SST, right, the OSHA 30 and the additional 10 hours. On the right, you see some of the jobs that we're training people for and placing people into. So generally, we've been successful in, well, from my side, it's the hiring, right? But from the program side, it's the placing. But we've generally been fortunate to be able to place and hire folks into almost all 8 of these tracks. These were the sort of the designed intent. Although I'll mention sales, outreach, auditing, analysis, project coordinating, engineering, installation, and inspection. So those 6 have been our most prolific job categories that we've been able to place folks into. I'm just going to go through the next couple slides, Dwayne, and then I'll just give you I know we were thinking about maybe the back and forth. Can you hear me? All right, just making sure because you froze on the video. Okay, great. So this is what the program looks like in action. Obviously, this was pre-COVID, right? But we look forward to a day where it will look like this again. This is actually in the Willdan warehouse. Well, 3 or 4 of these pictures are in the Willdan warehouse. A couple of them are on a capstone project site. So this was our first class we ever delivered. And I put little stars next to the folks because all of these folks, but maybe 1 or 2 ended up getting hired directly into our ecosystem, whether that was directly with Willdan or with one of the subcontractors working in our program, or frankly, with Con Edison directly. So this was exciting because as I was putting the deck together, I realized, wow, what a high penetration rate from that class in particular. But it's a really engaging process we put people through. This is our lead instructor, Clay. You'll see him in a couple of slides again. And this is a staff person at Willdan that popped in to deliver about an hour-long course, or it wasn't a full course. It was, he came in to be a guest lecturer on the inspection slide or inspection portion of the training because he's our lead inspector. So that's the benefit of being able to company that runs these programs, is that we can have staff members contribute to the training and participate. And frankly, they enjoy it probably as much as the students, right? They like the engagement, they like they feel satisfaction in contributing, which is really what we're trying to foster within the organization. These other pictures on the side are us doing a pro bono energy audit with some of the students, right? A lot of these students are in the same picture. So this is them going out there and doing a free audit for a community health center in Harlem as a way to help the community, but also as a way for them to get some additional hands-on experience. Oh, wait, hold on. Where was the other slide? Well, here, I'm just going to leap forward to this one because I was expecting this one to come next. But I just wanted to mention, for better or worse, this is what the program looks like now, right? Which is it's all virtual, except for some of the hands-on certification test prep, right? And the capstones, may take aspects of kind of in the field, but a lot of times they're just real-world projects that they're assigned to and may still be implemented remotely. But, our instructor here actually used to be a DJ, or maybe still is on the side. So, he brings in all his sound effects. He has a lot of fun. He has, crazy hair day, anime day, pajama day. He tries to do stuff to kind of keep the class engaged and keep it fresh and funky, because we are going through very rigorous engineering stuff. So anything to lighten the mood here as we go along. I'm going to take a couple of steps back. I apologize for going out of order, but I just wanted to show you the kind of the contrast before and after. So this is a little bit of sort of the market mapping that we did in terms of, well, market/curriculum mapping. So, you know, what we did here, and this was, you know, kind of part of our thought process as we developed the materials, is, you know, in the energy efficiency industry, each of these quadrants, residential buildings, commercial buildings, small residential, small commercial, large residential, large commercial, each of these quadrants, as you all know, as trades professionals, right, people that work in the industry, are completely different animals. The certifications are different, the contractors are different, the unions are different, the standards are different, the code is different, the tenants, the use are different. So if you're going to create a curriculum that's really poignant, that's really specific to the need of any one of them, you really need to tailor it to that need. So, you know, given that we were focusing on the small and medium business sector, that's the sector that we endeavored to tailor the training to. And so we rolled out initially 2 courses, one that we called our thermal systems class that focused on these systems you see here on the top right: heating, hot water, building envelopes, and combustion appliances. And then another one that was our electrical efficiency course, which focused on lighting, HVAC, refrigeration, motors, and drives. All right, and I always like to draw the connection back to the jobs, right? So even though we're talking about the engineering aspects, the energy auditing and energy efficiency aspects of upgrading this equipment, guess what? It's not just engineers doing this work. We have salespeople, we have inspectors, we have auditors, we have project managers, we have a whole team of individuals that are part of these processes that we need to also be trained on the same information. So, so we rolled out these 2 trainings, and with the ultimate objective of getting people placed into these career tracks, right? So this is the same list of jobs that I pulled up, that I referenced maybe 3-4 slides ago, but now you can see it expanded a little bit, right? So here, what you're seeing on the left are those 8 job tracks, and on the top you see kind of from entry level to senior management executive level, and yeah, so we try to show kind of the progression of people moving up the career ladders. Yeah, I really don't, we kind of call these, career lattices, right? I know that's a term you all are probably familiar with as well, because we don't expect that people are just going to move, horizontally or vertically here through the, just one track. Nowadays, the ecosystems and the job markets being so dynamic and people being so, interested in gung-ho and advancing their careers and profession, we find that a lot of times people start in one track and then move into another, right? Which is frankly something we encourage and that we help support and facilitate. For audiences like this, I like to point out the triangles. So the triangles, red triangles pointing up, are when we assume an individual will need an undergraduate degree to start in that field or to advance that next role. And the triangle pointing down is when we think individuals may need a graduate degree. And you'll notice that there's some tracks that they can make it very far along the way without ever getting a degree. And there's other tracks that are a little bit more engineering or technical in certain ways, where a certain type of specialty degree or a program might be beneficial. Now, I put these on here as a point of reference, but not anything that's written in stone. We've seen individuals become very efficient engineers, right, without ever having an engineering degree. I work as an engineer, I did work as an engineer, and I don't have an engineering degree. Had individuals come with no college at all and be able to advance in all of these tracks, right? So definitely don't want to ever discourage anybody from pursuing any of these, especially, as we know, we're looking to promote and broaden people's horizons in terms of career opportunities outside of just the traditional college track. All right, so again, any of these tracks are accessible. These are just guideposts that we like to give for individuals. And frankly, even if you go to work after you finish the CTE program, maybe 3, 4, 5 years down the line, you'll want to go back, right? And study something that you've now kind of connected to. And that's also something that we're excited and to contribute to. So I think that's my piece for today. right? I mean, I'll be along here for the rest of the presentation, but Dwayne's going to take us from here to the finish line. So thank you all. It's been great to share some of this information. Hopefully it was interesting and insightful. And yeah, I'll be excited to hear any Q&A here at the end. But yeah, go ahead, Dwayne.
Sure. So yeah, you guys just got a whole nice little introduction to the industry, where the opportunities are, and how we're navigating this landscape. And I think what's made this training program so unique is the, again, collaborative effort. Like, it takes a lot of different moving parts to make this thing successful, but that's also what gives us the industry insight to be able to know what's working, what's not working, and to be able to do the job placements on the back end. So that partnership with Willdan, Con Edison, and really understanding what that ecosystem looks like in order to navigate the different types of career pathways, what information is needed, and the different employers that are available, has really given us a lot of good access. So I can share my screen if that's what you're asking me to do there. No problem. Pay no attention to my calendar.
Oh my God, yours is worse than mine. I didn't
Don't
think
get
it was
scared.
possible.
Don't get scared. Don't get scared.
Yeah, I just got scared.
Scares me a little bit too. So, you know, again, we're fortunate to have Willdan as a leader, as Antoine noted, that focuses on kind of the industry alignment, making sure that this training program is aligned with industry needs, employer needs, not just for Willdan, not just for Con Edison, but for the hundreds of subcontractors who work with them. And again, those hundreds of subcontractors are who we're looking to leverage and work with when we're looking to provide this job placement support for our graduates. We have partners who do our program management at Energy Economic Development Corporation, partners that lead our training delivery. So in classroom training that you saw the videos at Green Tech Leaders, partners who lead our capstones, which means all the service learning and hands-on projects that Antoine noted at Cowie Energy Group. We have a whole technology team that focuses on making sure that all of our training can be delivered remotely and that our data collection processes are in place so that we really are learning what students are having good success in and what they're not, and what their potential trajectories are, and using some predictive analysis. So we're really trying to get technology to support even in our job placement outcomes. My team is Soulful Synergy, leading the outreach and recruitment. And so everything here works in a very systematic way. So that core team of partners is like a conveyor belt of sorts. Like, my team does the recruitment, and once we finish vetting, interviewing, making sure the candidates are right candidates, we enroll them into the training program. They get trained by Green Tech Leaders. On the back end, they come out of the training program. We have a whole career services component that we'll talk through. It's done with our Soulful Synergy team and NYCDOE team. We then look and see if there's any skills gaps. We then partner them up with Cowie and Willdan to help them do some of these service learning projects, either in the field or doing some energy savings calculations. And so that whole process is taking place as a collaborative unit where we each have our specialty. And then, as noted, we have other partners who assist us with academic alignment to make sure that our course can be credentials and be providing CEUs. And then we have nonprofit partners who are now looking to see how they can take this program and scale it within their own organization and with their own infrastructure. And so this is really kind of unique. And those nonprofit partners allow us to, one, continue to make sure that we're serving disadvantaged communities or priority populations, as NYCDOE would call them, NYCDOE being our largest funder, and making sure that these programs can still be free to those types of participants, but also that they have the wraparound services that they need to be successful. So if they have, you know, difficulty with housing, access to food, security, all those different components that could affect their learning and as well as their job placement outcomes, we have nonprofit partners that provide some of these additional resources, and those resources with our partners would extend to students that you might refer if they happen to have these same scenarios. So again, a really kind of collaborative approach that we're very excited about, and I think it is what makes the program very unique and special and of its own right. So to give you a little sense of, I guess, what we've been doing over the last few years as this program has shifted primarily online, we've been fortunate to receive funding from NYCDOE. NYCDOE is our New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, and they provided us funding in year one, which is 2020, officially is when we launched, to provide this training to 120 participants. These 120 participants were exposed to our electrical systems training, which is a training that focuses on lighting and HVAC technologies with the vein and focus of energy efficiency and auditing practices, as Antoine mentioned to you, right? And we were interested by where these participants were coming from because we had switched everything to virtual. So our outreach was very widespread. And it was a number of different organizations and partners that were sending students to us because they didn't have any virtual programming. So many places were used to conducting, you know, in-person classes, and we were kind of one of the I don't say only, but we were an interesting program that was able to pivot to an online model very quickly. And so we were getting participants fresh out of high school, we were getting participants from college, from our partners at NYT. And that training really kind of exposed to us that, again, just like we like to say, we train anyone from Yale to jail. We really were finding participants in this wide educational gap, this wide kind of background and transferable skills, mid-career transitioning professionals, as well as recent graduates. And it really was interesting for us to really see it kind of broken down in these kind of data points. What we're also finding is about half, a little more than half of our participants were coming to us looking for employment, and we were finding a way to be able to help them get placed within the industry. So those who say placements are people that we placed 2020, and these need to be updated. These are actually a little bit higher. This hasn't been updated probably since about December. And so again, finding really good success, even in the midst of a pandemic, even in the midst of all these things that were going on, because the industry demand is there. If you read the NYCDOE Clean Energy Report in 2019, they noted about 80% of employers expressing difficulty hiring for the clean energy space. During the pandemic, just like construction, it was still considered an essential job. So even though in the beginning there were furloughs and shutdowns, once around July of 2020 picked back up, the demand for these employees was there. And as you know, a lot of people kind of didn't want to go back to work right away. So we were able to kind of continue to foster really strong job placement and continued success within this program. As we noted, the Edison Ecosystem is a lot of what we're focused on with our training, meaning that students are learning the exact calculators, tools, and softwares that Edison and its subcontractor partners use. And that's also where we leveraged for the job placements with these relationships with employers. What makes our program unique is our value proposition, our passion for this space, but it's also our approach, right? We're looking at making sure that we're recruiting qualified talent. And part of our recruitment effort is having participants go to the website, they fill out an application, and we don't really ask for a lot of background, like whether you have been in this industry, not in this industry, have degrees, doesn't really matter to us. But we ask them to fill out an application. We follow up with them with an email so that they can schedule their interview. Every candidate undergoes an interview, and it's not to see if they have a background and know a lot about energy efficiency. We'd like for them to read the information that we share with them. But it's really just to understand, what do they want out of this opportunity? Are they committed? Are they going to put in the work? Do they understand what the expectations of the class are? So we do a little vetting process. We have instructors, as Antoine noted, who have been in this industry for over a decade. And I think that's another really valuable part of our training, is that we have instructors who have been in the field in a number of different job roles, from engineering, auditing, installation, project management, and they bring that real world knowledge and intellect to the classroom. We have really strong partnerships with a number of different workforce partners as well as employers. And one of the things that we're able to leverage when doing job placement is these 3 different wage subsidy programs that exist through NYCDOE, which provide resources and dollars so that organizations can hire without having to spend as much out of pocket. So each of these provides about $15,000 for about 6 months worth of a new employee's salary, about $17 an hour. Doesn't mean that that's what they have to cap at paying them, but that's just what the reimbursement of these will be. And so again, really, really valuable resource for employers who are looking to hire and maybe aren't positive, if they want to take on the risk. We're able to kind of help them manage that risk by leveraging these funds. So I think there's a lot of good value that we wanted to share through this program. We definitely want you to ask questions. Just 2 things I wanted to cover as we wind down and go into the Q&A is we do have upcoming courses. So I'm going to have Teresa put in the chat for you how you would apply. And again, very simply, have students go to www.cleanenergyacademy.org. On that website, you will see course syllabus information. You'll see different things that explain what the program is. But filling out the application, we'll receive a notification that they've completed the application, and we would then follow up with an email for them to schedule their interview. The next set of courses that we have upcoming on March 22nd to March 29th. We have a lighting course. So this one is going to focus on lighting energy efficiency, looking at the different types of lamps and ballasts and incentive programs related to the lighting systems that we work on. Again, this was only a 30-hour. So a lot of our courses are 60-hour. It'll merge 2 technologies together. This one is just a 30-hour energy efficiency training program. We'll have here a little bit of a breakout or a breakdown of what the course curriculum is. And we provide that in the email as well when we follow up with the candidates around, again, what they're going to be taking in the class and what to expect. We note to them that there's at the back end professional development. So we do want to make sure that these participants are getting the career services and career readiness skills that they need. So we help with an entire process of career road mapping, where we help them kind of figure out where they want to start in their career, where they want to end up. We help them do elevator pitch. We help them do resume writing, cover letter, intro emails. We help them to kind of do some industry research and figure out where they may want to take their careers, help them do some interview prep, do mock interviews. We have a number of different things that we do to support the professional development before we start putting them in front of the employer partners in our network. So all this listed here on the flyer, we'll make sure that Gav gets this shared with each of you. And so upcoming on the 22nd is our lighting systems class, and upcoming on the 21st is building envelope. So this will be covering different systems, but similar processes. And so, you know, very excited to be able to share all this information with you. We know it's a lot. So by all means, if you have questions, we're here for a little bit to answer any questions you have. And we will share slides. I don't think we have a problem sharing slides, Antoine. Somebody asked me for the green implementation process, more specifically that slide, as well as the flyers for upcoming training. But the best way to get the information is to go onto the website, as Teresa has just put into the chat for you all. So Gav, thank you as always, and I'll let you field the Q&A part for us.
All right, thanks a lot, Dwayne and Antoine. Do we have any questions from any of the school staff or any of the students in attendance?
I'll say one thing. I'll say
Yeah.
one thing if this is also of interest. So again, we noted these different job roles. Currently, if you look again, NYCDOE Clean Energy Report, NYCDOE puts out a lot of data. About 66% or like 2/3 of the industry currently is those without college degrees. So that's a huge thing to note, that when you're talking about where are the opportunities, what do you need in order to get into these programs or into these jobs, about 2/3 of the industry does not have a college degree, and the average wage that they've quoted is about $60,000 to $70,000 a year. Doesn't mean that that's starting, right? But there are ways to advance your career into making a lot more than that, depending on which career pathway that you take. But a lot of the starting wages are still in the 40,000 or so. So there's really good opportunities to advance in this space, and I just also wanted to put that out there as another thing that would kind of add some context for those of you looking to support students who are not necessarily looking at the college, traditional career pathway, and how you can support them in their advancement.
Okay, so question for you guys. Are there any sort of fees associated with enrolling in the training program? Any out-of-pocket fees that a student may have to pay?
No. Hold on.
Yeah, I can take that one. But yeah, so due to the funding that we've received from NYCDOE, all training programs that we've opted to provide are free. In theory, we could have done like a cost share. We could have said students need to pay X or Y. It's not what we want to do. So all the training programs that we offer currently are free of charge. The only times that we charge is if we're charging specific contractors or partners who want to, get training for their staff. But right now, all the community-based training is free.
Okay, great. Are there any sort of credentials that you want a student to already have in order for them to become eligible to apply? Like, is there any sort of certification that they need to have coming in the program?
High school diploma preferable, or GED equivalent. Not required, but definitely preferred, I'll say. And it's not so much even us, it's grasp of subject matter, but also employers may ask for some of those things. And then certain jobs will need you to be 18 and over. So those would be the two prerequisites, but no certifications, nothing else like that. And then again, you might find some employers where, if you were looking to become an installer, they may say, well, we want you to have a driver's license or have a vehicle. And those are things we don't get to control. But we do know of other employers who don't require those things. So in general, HSC, high school equivalency, graduate diploma, and 18 and over would be ideal. Beyond
Okay,
that,
great.
no other background.
Great. All right. So you guys had mentioned several certifications earlier, EPA and AEE, BPI. It's a lot of these different acronyms. A lot of our young people may not necessarily be aware of them. I do believe that OSHA is offered in most of the schools in attendance today, but if a young person is not really cognizant of these different certifications, is there any sort of service you guys provide in at least like explaining what the different certifications are? Because there's some young people, they may just want to get into the industry, but they don't know which certification to pursue. Is there any sort of career guidance of any sort that is
A
that is
lot.
provided?
Yeah, a lot. So I mean, a lot of what Antoine went through was like the abbreviated version of what we call our green economy class. And that class really does cover a top-down kind of look at what the industry looks like. So we start with kind of who are the policymakers, our legislatures, governor, the PSC, Public Service Commission, and looking at how the industry is regulated. We cover then the kind of market makers, Con Edison, NYCDOE, what do they do? What's their role? What are the incentive programs? What are the different job opportunities within this space based on policy and how it's driving the market? What are the different jobs, as well as what are the certifications you might need or want if you're trying to pursue certain career trajectories? All of that is broken down in our green economy lesson, and something that students get basically day one of class. So before we kind of even dive into what are the specific technologies and the specific systems, all the courses are really kind of level set on what does the industry look like and where might you be able to fit in.
All right, sounds good. Bishop had a question. Bishop, I don't know if you want to unmute and elaborate on your question.
Yeah, you can hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Sure.
Oh, okay. So I said if I wanted to focus on construction, what would I be aiming for in the program?
So if you were looking to have, so Antoine, you heard that one?
Yeah, I don't mind taking that.
Sure.
Oh, Bishop, you got a little bit of background on Bishop. Maybe just go back on mute real quick and we'll answer your question.
Yeah. Bishop was asking. He wants to
Oh, no,
focus.
No, we
I
got
heard
it.
it. No, I got the question. I was just saying
Okay.
that there was just a bit of background noise there.
Okay.
Just really quick, I just wanted to point out that one of the slides here where we did the industry and curriculum mapping actually notes what certification you would need for what building sector, right? And we also overlay this by technology area. So yeah, we provide a lot of guidance, both as people enter the program through our recruitment and outreach efforts and join leads, and definitely on the back end on the career services as we kind of coach people on how to navigate the industry. And so Bishop, your question is related to, kind of how would you be able to use the program, leverage the program, right, to try to get into a construction-based job. And yeah, as we noted in this slide, rather, and the other one, that's one of the types of jobs that we're placing people into. So it would really just be a matter of you letting us know that that's the career track that you're interested in. And then upon completing the course, we would move you into interviews with those types of companies, right? Willdan, for example, we run 40 electrical crews, right? So whenever we have installers in the program that want to do electrical work, we just have them interview with our electrical field ops team. But if you wanted to get into carpentry, you want to get into plumbing, you want to get into mechanical, right? Any of those other areas, we would likewise just put you forward to those types of employers. The way that we've designed the curriculum is it's sort of like an intro for everybody. It's like a fundamental foundational training that everybody needs to get regardless of which track they're going down, so that they know the industry terminology, so that they know the industry stakeholders, so they know the technologies that we're working with. But then after you complete the program is when you sort of specialize on your specific skill career track.
Bishop, does that answer your question, Bishop?
Yeah, he's in the chat. He said, okay.
Okay, great. Is there a particular pathway that you find that happens to be more in demand, but you're not getting enough candidates to apply?
Installers.
Yeah. Across the board. And it's probably, again, partly where we partner, right? We partner with, engineering schools like NYT, or we partner with nonprofit orgs and other places that, that's not necessarily exactly who they're attracting on a day-to-day, but, we were working with some of your Bronx design. That's why I said I'm excited about these CTE partnerships, because you have a lot of students that want to do some of that install. They've been trained on this. And some of the students that we've had that have come out of those schools have been some of our greatest students. And so, yeah, would love to figure out how we build more of that type of synergy, because we need installers. I mean, there's no joke.
Yeah.
And that's everything from lighting install, HVAC install, electric charging stations as they're coming out. Weatherization.
Yeah, and I'll mention there was one class in particular. I don't know what happened. Maybe Dwayne, you presented at some CTE thing just before that class enrollment. But there was one class that we had like 4 or 5 CTE graduates, young men, 18 years old, just coming out of their out of their program. I think most of them were from Queens Vocational, and they were all great. Like, we'd love to get more of those kinds of students, right?
Talking about the class with
with
Jonathan,
Jonathan,
Norbu, and
Norbu and all those. Yep.
Mhm.
And they all ended up getting placed in great roles, right? That they were right in the lanes that they were trying to get into. So, I'm going to make a pitch for electrical installers, because that's what my immediate need, right? If any of y'all have any electrical installation programs, we'd love to create like a very active, dynamic partnership, right? And in fact, to that point, we just received funding that we're going to launch in July for an electrical installer training program, right? It's sort of an apprenticeship program of sorts. I don't want to call it an apprenticeship program because I know that takes very specific connotation in different groups, but it's more extensive training than our standard 60 hours that would really meant to get people to hit the ground running. And it's going to include, hands-on training. It's going to include about like a dozen certifications, and it's going to include job shadowing, right? So that one's going to be like our real installer training. And that, again, that's coming to us live on July. And we actually decided to launch in July, interestingly, because of this group. You all didn't even know you were already part of our thoughts, but we thought that July would be a good time to launch because we assumed that many of your students would be graduating in May and June. And so we thought, we could try to pick them right into our program as they got let out for summer.
Okay.
So I see we're at time. I just want to be mindful of everybody's time.
Yeah. Just a couple more questions and we can wrap up. So just to be clear, for our high school seniors who may not be graduating until the end of June, are these students eligible to enroll in any programs that you have going on from March onward, or do they have to graduate first in order to enroll?
Well, so it's interesting, right? So Dwayne spoke to the fact that we have a strong preference for folks having their high school degrees already, right? We have stopped short of making that a formal requirement, but for certain contracts, it's a bit more of a requirement than for others, let's say. I would suggest, and I do very much like when people take the class anticipating the summer so that they can get into employment right away. So strategically, we're on board with that. What I would suggest is if we were going to do something like that, that we create a partnership with the school and that acceptance into the program be predicated on having an advisor from the school recommend the person, right? If somebody from the school tells us this is a good young person that we want to, invest in or that we believe in, we'll take that at face value and we'll work with that person.
And we, as I said, we interview all participants. So I have had situations where I've interviewed participants who were in high school and we were running a daytime class. They were like, "Oh, well, my teachers told me that I can skip class and come to your program." And I was like, I don't think so. So we'll interview them. We'll really understand again that this is not going to interfere, because that's the worst thing I want to do is I don't want to interfere with someone's graduation. I want to make sure they graduate, get their diploma. But if they can take this at night while also taking class during the day and they feel like they can manage the caseload, I think we'll have a sense of that based on the maturity they bring to that interview. We do have to run. We have a class coming up, so I think we could take another couple of questions, but sadly we got, that schedule I showed you was not a lie. That is real.
That's madness, Dwayne. I can't even fathom that kind of calendar. But it seems like we addressed all the questions. Stephen Hudson had a question about how do we apply, and I see that Teresa put the link inside the chat box. I'm also going to email out the links and the recording and the slides to everybody in attendance. So thank you, Dwayne. Thank you, Antoine. This has been extremely informative. And again, this is the kind of information that we need to know about. Lots and lots of times throughout the school year, we get questions, what are some of the alternatives to college out there? So this is a wonderful, terrific program that I definitely recommend. So thank you for letting us know about these resources. I'm going to follow up with everybody through email, and I'm going to close it out. So thanks again, Antoine and Dwayne. Have a good one.
Thank you, Gav, for coordinating. You're always on top of it. We appreciate all the support, and I think there's a lot that we can do here collaboratively. So thank you.
I agree. Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.